Hey everyone, welcome back to our Python series. In the previous video, we learned about the different types of arguments in Python and how they make our functions more flexible. But have you ever wondered how a function can send a result back after completing its work? For example, if a function adds two numbers, how can we store that answer in a variable and use it later? That's exactly what the return statement does. In this video, we'll learn what is the return statement, the difference between print and return, how to return a single value, and we'll understand everything with practical examples. So let's get started. So, what is the return statement? A return statement is used to send a value back from a function to the place where the function was called. After returning the value, the function immediately stops executing. This is the syntax of a function with a return value. Return is a keyword. It sends the value back to the caller. Once Python executes a return statement, it immediately exits the function. Let's understand with the help of one example. Let's understand this step by step. The function add is called. It calculates 20 plus 30. The return statement sends the value 50 back. The returned value is stored in the variable result. Finally, print result displays the answer. Let's move to another example. The function calculates the square of the number and returns the result. Notice that the function itself doesn't print anything. It simply returns the value. Next is print function versus return. This is one of the most confusing topics in Python. Although both display results, they work very differently. Let's understand with the help of one example. Let's use print function. Let's understand why these two outputs appear. Inside the function print 10 plus 20 displays 30. But the function doesn't return anything. So when we write result is equal to add function, Python stores none in the result. That's why print result prints none. Now let's see the same example using return. This time the function doesn't print anything. Instead, it returns 30. That value is stored in result variable, which is later printed. So the important difference between print and return: print displays the output on the screen, return sends the value back to the caller. In print, the value cannot be reused later, but in return, it can be stored in a variable. Let's write a simple program to calculate the area of a rectangle using a return statement. The function calculates the area and returns it. Outside the function, we print the returned value. This makes the function reusable for different rectangles. Now the question is, can we return an expression? Yes, the return statement can return the result of an expression directly. Let's take one example. Python first evaluates the expression, then returns the final answer. So far, our functions have returned only one value. But in Python, a function can return multiple values using a single return statement. The values are separated by commas. Let's understand with the help of one example. The function returns two values, the sum of a and b, the difference of a and b. Python automatically packs these values into a tuple. That's why the output appears inside parentheses. We can also store them in separate variables. Here Python automatically assigns the first returned value to sum underscore result, the second returned value to difference. This process is called unpacking. Let's take one more example of unpacking. A function can also return a list. We can also access individual elements from the list like this. Since the function returns a list, we can perform all list operations on it. A function can also return a tuple. We can access values in tuple like this. A function can also return a dictionary. We can access individual values from the dictionary. We have used the corresponding keys to access their values. Sometimes a function doesn't explicitly return anything. In that case, Python automatically returns none. Let's take one example. The function prints welcome. However, since there is no return statement, Python automatically returns none. Let's return none explicitly. Here we have explicitly written return none. This produces the same result because Python would return none anyway if no value was returned. Now that we have learned the different ways a function can return values, let's understand some important rules that every Python programmer should know. As soon as Python executes a return statement, the function stops executing. Any statement written after return inside the same block is never executed. Python prints welcome, then it encounters the return statement and immediately exits the function. So the statement print happy coding is never executed. A function can contain more than one return statement, especially when using conditions. However, only one return statement is executed during a function call. If A is greater than B, Python returns A. Otherwise, it returns B. Only one return statement is executed. The return statement doesn't have to return only variables or values. It can also return the result of an expression. Python first evaluates the expression and then returns the final result. We don't always need to store the returned value in a variable. We can use it directly. The returned values can be used in other calculations. In this, the function returns 30. Later, we multiply that returned value by 5. This is one of the biggest advantages of using return. So that's all for this video. Today we learned how the return statement works in Python, how it is different from print, how functions can return a single value, multiple value, lists, tuples, dictionaries, and even none, along with some important rules that every beginner should know, along with the important rules. In the next video, we'll learn about scope of variables in Python. We'll understand the difference between local and global variables, variable lifetime, and global keyword with practical examples. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you don't miss the next lesson in this Python series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy coding!